Hello, this is Red York. I'm doing a presentation on marketing overview. This is for Human Services Administration. At the completion of this module, you will be able to distinguish between the concepts of marketing and related things like fundraising and public relations, because marketing is unique. Number two, recognize that marketing for the Human Service Agency is an exchange, basically. Number three, improve your ability to conceptualize good marketing statements. And four, improve your ability to engage in a marketing dialogue with others. The first thing we'll talk about here is what is marketing. Think about that for a moment. What do you think of it as being? So here's a definition I could give you from a book by Kotler. Marketing is the assessment of constituent need and the management of the response process to achieve best utilization of programs and optimal financial support. There are several major concepts there. You obviously must be focusing upon need. You must be focusing upon the response to need and optimality. Are you doing it optimally, most efficiently, for example? Those are some of the kinds of things we'll talk about in this discussion of marketing. How do you best utilize resources to meet a defined need? Think about that as a key concept in regard to marketing. I'd like to talk about marketing as an exchange. You may not think of it this way initially, but think of it for a moment as an exchange. An exchange between the constituent and the agency. Keep in mind that human services have, particularly at nonprofit organizations, have funding sources, they have clients, and they have agency personnel. And marketing may be viewed as an exchange between all three of those parties. Agencies need support from consumers and from contributors. If consumers don't come, you can't serve them. If contributors do not provide funds, you can't have the money to do the job. Consumers want effective service, and contributors want to help. And contributors may be more interested than consumers in regard to things like efficiency. But that is one of the issues you must address when you're thinking about marketing. Here's an exercise let's talk about. Suppose you had a special counseling program for those recently diagnosed with cancer. Is the following a good part of your message? Just click the pause button there, read this statement, and then come back. Okay, I hope you've read the statement and thought about it, whether or not this is a good part of the message. You're serving people in the late stages of cancer. This is good because consumers and contributors want to know the population that you are addressing, and people in the late stages of cancer are probably people that contributors would think is an important population to serve. You've seen how you show in this statement how this group is, and it has needs that are not very well met now. So those are good things that are part of your marketing statement. Let's continue with this exercise here. What if your vision for this counseling program for cancer patients entails the mind, the body, and the spirit? Because the connection of these personal entities is critical for successful recovery or movement into the late stages of life. Would this be a good part of your message? Well, I would say yes, because it says something about how you're conceptualizing things. And I believe a lot of people would be able to identify with this particular message as being something that shows something good about what you're doing and about your approach and your agency. Continuing this exercise, what if the target population for your outreach initiative for the special counseling is a special counseling program for cancer patients was those who could not afford to pay for counseling? Would this be a good part of your message? Well, I would say so, because in particular, those who are contributors want to believe that what they are contributing will make a difference. People who cannot afford counseling will not get it. If I make a contribution, I will help these people to get it. So that's a very important part of a message. here for this hypothetical program. What if a major reason you wanted to raise more funds through the outreach initiative was that your agency had experienced financial losses and needed more money to stay alive? Would this be a good part of your message to others? Think about that for a moment. That's a good message. You want to stay alive. They need to help your agency to survive. Well, I would say that's not a good part of a marketing message. Contributors are not as interested in helping you survive as an agency as they are in meeting human need. So the previous things we've been talking about are good parts of a marketing message. I would say this one is not, because it looks like you're on your way to failure as an agency. They don't want to jump onto that train, the contributors, that is. Marketing and strategic planning. Strategic planning involves decisions on long-term goals, target audiences, and service strategies. All three of these are a part of what is involved with strategic planning. Goals, decisions, target audiences, service strategies. In the latter case, what is our approach to it? And we've just seen a couple of messages related to things like target audiences and service strategies in the example we were just talking about. Good strategic planning helps convince contributors to give their support. Thus, strategic planning in marketing are integrally linked. Here are some questions for marketing. Who are our consumers? Effective nonprofits engage in market segmentation, that is, making strategic choices among the vast array of needs that they might want to meet and designing strategies that are effective. Your approach in regard to your strategic planning should be, what are the needs we really focus upon? Which means also thinking of needs that you do not focus upon and making sure that people understand with some degree of precision just what it is you're up to. You can't be all things to all people. If you try to give that kind of message, it's not going to be very effective. But if that's your particular approach, you're probably not going to be effective, because you can't do everything for everybody and be effective. So the next question, who are our contributors? What kinds of people contribute to us? Number 3, how can we meet need and convey that message effectively to contributors? That is to say, that we are doing what you want to use your money to accomplish. And that involves a number of things, like the messages we were talking in regard to persons in the early stages of cancer treatment. 2 key tasks are telling your story and building relationships. That is to say, 2 key tasks of marketing are telling your story and building relationships. Both of those are very critical to effective marketing. Let's talk a little bit about effective messages. We are meeting a unique and important need is an important message. For example, you may say that you're providing role models to prevent delinquency, because perhaps research has shown that modeling of good behavior is an important part of preventing delinquency. So you're going to use role models. That's what part of your strategy is. And it makes sense because research shows that this works. And of course, you're showing that you're trying to prevent delinquency. That's a very important need to be addressing. Number 2 example there is special counseling to alleviate anxiety and depression for cancer patients. That may be what you're trying to do. You have special counseling, not just any kind of counseling, special counseling, and it's focused on alleviating anxiety and depression for people suffering from cancer. That's a message that has enough specificity that people will understand, and many people will identify with it as a need they would like to contribute to. Number 2, we are meeting this need efficiently. Often in human services, we don't think a lot about efficiency, but contributors in particular would be concerned with whether you're doing things efficiently. For example, using volunteers, if that's something that can be If you have things that could be done by volunteers, which costs no salary money, that's an efficient way to deliver services. You might consolidate services to reduce administrative overhead, another way to reduce funding costs, therefore improving efficiency, or contracting out selective activities at a lower cost. Those are some of the kinds of things that one might do to make the organization more efficient, and to the extent that you do this, you might want to include that as a part of some of your messaging for your marketing strategy. A key is connection. Donors have some kind of connection with the agency they fund, typically. They may be interested in the target audience that's being served, development delayed children, alcoholics, persons with cancer, etc. Having some kind of personal connection through interpersonal relationships is another way that you have connection. So besides the idea that the people have an interest in your target audience and what you're doing, you do it through personal connection, through interrelationships you have. People bring people on your board because they know them and think of them as being people who would be good for your board. And they may not have that much interest in your target audience before they become a member of your board, but after becoming a member of your board, they develop a lot of interest there. So there's two critical ways to deal with connection. For small nonprofits, connection is everything. Major advertising probably does not make a lot of economic sense for small nonprofits. So connection is what you really have to focus on. Well, here's a summary of what we've been talking about. Marketing is an exchange between the agency and its constituents. Each wants something from the other. The agency wants clients, the agency wants contributors. Contributors want to do something that's good, clients want to be served effectively, etc. Number 2, marketing is about meeting need and showing it to others so as to generate support. The next, number 3 there, marketing produces effective messages that appeal to constituents. And number 4, a key is connection. That's the end of the presentation. I hope this is helpful to you.